All right. Get the show ready. Brand spanking good show today. All right. Give us some time. We're almost there. Time's running out. All right. Where are we? Okay. What was that one? Is that right? That takes up some power. All right. Where are we? Almost done. A few seconds. Oh, all right. My family. Let me open that one up. Show. Hello, everyone. Let me just make sure my microphone. Mic check. Mic check. Mic just check it. Because I never saw the audio wire. And so, is that because of delays? If you can hear me, just say one or yes or say. My machine seems to be has a visual. Maybe it's the screen. Yo, what's going on? Mic check. I think I'm seeing it. Yeah, my machine's looking very sluggish at the moment. Not good at all. Let's say hi. Blah 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 blah. It looks like it's working. No, normally it doesn't. Welcome everyone. This is. I'm just going to upload my the actual PDF. Let me do that. Maybe that might change things. Hold on. Give me 17 seconds. If you can't hear me, what can I say? Oh well. Share. Share screen. That's right. Window. Yep. Mike. All right. Cool. Mike. There you go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 107th show. I'm your host, Rap Raven, and I'm just go. If you give me 17, I'm just going to check to make sure that I'm hearing audio on this. I've got a sneaking suspicion you can't hear me. Could be wrong. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? All right, let's see if I can find this. I should have a link here that clicks. You know what? When you want to do something, that's when everything that starts going a bit funny. Almost done, family. Not to worry. Let's check. I can hear myself. Excellent. You see, thanks for letting me know. You're a great team. You are. There's no iron collaboration. Anyway, all right. So we're going to start. Show this your host, Rap Raven. Welcome to the Black Belt broadcast. Now we start every single show with these 3 fantastic, super mega good quotes that will help you navigate through the interweb, the digital, physical, and spiritual space when it comes to trying to help Black people. That's right. And they sound very shocking at first, but you get used to them in the end. So when it comes to working as a collective with only Black people on matters that benefit Black issues, Black progression, and Black ownership, Black people are collectively inadequate. You can just skip all the first bit and just go straight to Black people are collectively inadequate. That's what we're trying to rectify. Let them know you know the truth so we can rectify. Excellent. Part 2. Individually, you might find a non-Black person who shows some kind of camaraderie towards Black people. However, collectively, Black people have no friends. That's right. Collectively, Black people have no friends. Remember that line will help you. And last but by no means least, constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. Now, we try to see how many of the themes that we do week to week and the stories we talk about week to week either justify these quotes or highlight them, really draws your attention why those lines are there. And I suspect this week will be no different. Yes, I do. So we're going to go through this week's show. So before we do it, let's go through the normal stuff. We're going to throw a link out because obviously this is a community show. So all brothers and sisters are welcome to jump on. As long as you practice the 4D values. What are the 4D values? Discipline, discernment, dignity, and dedication. That's right. Discipline, discernment. All right, let me do it in the word. Discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. So yeah, read it in that way. There you go. Yeah, if you practice those, you can jump on and we can try to find solutions together. That's right. Oh yeah, very good. So also, if we could try to use a descriptive language and not derogatory language, and that'd be very handy. So let's try not to make fun of each other. I know it's hard, but I think we can. Let's do it. That's right. Now, what is Black Betterment? Some people are asking. Well, if you're new to the show and you don't know what Black Betterment is, well, I'll tell you now. It's Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. That's right. It's a completely inward solution-based concept. Black people fixing our own troubles. Hey, 10 points. How good is that? Right? So if ever we are talking about other people joining in or helping out or contributing, it has nothing to do with Black Betterment because Black Betterment is completely Black people helping Black people on Black issues. That's right. Lord of mercy. Cool. So that means we're promoting the lifestyle of Black Betterment. Looking to try to work with other Black people to fix Black issues is a lifestyle, and it's something you should practice until you die. That's right. There you go. All right, so we're gonna show some videos today. So Copyright Act 1976. So just so you know, we're gonna do that. Hope you don't mind. And we're not really taking those copyright. We're just using for case studies and all that good stuff. So blah 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 blah. Good. Also, I'm gonna put it in the group so you know. Please feel free to tell your friend to tell a friend to be a friend of the Black Bear and Broadcast Instagram. I've done a very terrible job promoting it because I know you guys will do a very better job of promoting it. So please promote because it's where we'll be promoting more of this stuff and doing campaigns, talk about Black love, Black economics, and all the good stuff that you need to talk about to get progression going. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, cool. So what's today's fantastic, super mega good show? Well, today's show is let's just break it down. So every week we've covered a Queen focus. So we've opened up with a 10-minute, 4 to 10 minute intro on Queens of Africa, but not just Queens of Africa. It's also very constructive, helpful Black women in the diaspora. Every constructive Black woman's a queen. Blah blah blah. Good stuff. That's what we want to hear. And yeah, so that's what we've been covering. And this week we are focusing on Queen Focus Part 5, and that's Princess Yennenga. You're pronouncing that wrong because I'm shame on me. So we're gonna do that today. We're gonna got some videos to show. We'll be 4 minutes long, I think. Maybe, yeah, 4 minutes. So we're gonna listen about that. But also we're gonna jump into do Black biracial people value Black love? Why are we saying this? Okay, there's many reasons we're saying this, but we should unpack that later. And also, is Black love positive? Because it actually might be a negative thing. That's right. Black people practicing love and all that good stuff might actually be a negative thing. Oh no, let's find out if that's true or not. All right. So let's now start with an intro to part 5 of the Queen Focus. There we go.
Beloved woman.
Rewind. So this is from last week. We showed this brother's page. We're gonna promote it. I think it's called Home Team. I'll get the link in a bit. Very sultry voice, very sultry, very yeah. But he's giving you that game. So have a listen.
She was the most beautiful and beloved woman in all of the kingdom of the Gamba. Right. Princess Yennenga, as precious as she was to her people, none could match the love her father had for her. He praised her not only for her unmatched beauty, but her skill with the sword, spear, and her gift in riding and taming the most powerful stallions. Indeed, the king showed her off well. Her strength and courage even put his greatest warriors to shame. Despite being praised as one of the greatest warriors in all of the Gamba, a high honor amongst her people, Princess Yennenga was often conflicted. Sadness became a common theme throughout her days. You see, the princess wanted her prince. Yennenga asked her father to give her away in marriage.
Remember, that constructive Black man, a constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family.
But her father refused. How can I lose the Gamba's greatest warrior to marriage? Her father's proclamation deeply saddened her. Her words fell on deaf ears as she begged and pleaded with her father. One day, she got an idea. She planted a beautiful field of wheat, which impressed her father. After seeing the excitement he had and how he boasted about her agricultural prowess to his elite friends, she allowed the wheat to rot. Her father, troubled by this act, said to Yennenga, "My love, what is the meaning of this?" Yennenga, realizing her moment has come, gathered her courage and told her father, "You see, father, as precious as you say I am, still you let me rot like the wheat in this field." Her father, filled with rage, immediately locked her away in the palace whilst his pride recovers. Days became weeks, weeks became months. Saddened by her condition, the king's horseman proceeded to help Yennenga escape. He dressed her as a man and gave her her stallion. They rode together gallantly through the night, the North Star in their vision and freedom on their minds. But as time passed, they were met with Melenke warriors. The king's horsemen knew.
For those who've got 2 more minutes of this, we're showing Princess Yennenga. Every week we start with a queen focus, that's right. This to let you know the historical queens from the African continent and diaspora. Constructive black women who did fantastic things or things we mentioned. And we do it every week. For how long? Who knows? Maybe forever. Never know. 3 minutes of this, and then we're going to the show.
That they both would surely die if they fought. So with all his strength he fought the Melenke. One by one they fell. But sadly, his efforts weren't enough, for he was killed.
Okay.
But his heroic effort distracted them away from Princess Yennenga as she fled. Yennenga pressed forward, heading north out of the land of the Gamba.
Hope she remembered him.
Her home. Soon, Yennenga found an elephant hunter named Rael. He cared for her and gave her shelter. Rael, not knowing she was a woman because she was dressed as a man, did not at all recognize who she really was, the heir to the throne. Princess Yennenga saw that Rael was a good man and decided to reveal who she really was, and the two fell deeply in love. Yennenga and Rael had a son they named Weyodrago, which means stallion. Her lineage went on to create a nation, the nation of Burkina Faso.
Okay.
Today, in Burkina Faso, the beautiful Princess Yennenga is acknowledged as the founding Queen Mother. If you like these videos and would like to see more, you can support us on patreon.com. The link is in the description.
Go support that brother.
Box below.
I'll put a link in there. So that brother makes historical plays, not plays, but reenactments of ancient African history and stuff. So yeah, support that good stuff. Give him some money. Give him lots of your money. All right. Interesting story there. So what happened to the guy who got her out? She just left him there, right? Well, so happens. Warriors and all that. All right, cool, fantastic. Now we're gonna move to the show. Everyone's having a fantastic, super, megally good time. Now we're now gonna shift. But if anyone wants to talk about Princess Yennenga, say we'll jump back to it again when we send out the link. But now we're gonna move to our first topic. It's actually 2 topics in one, but we'll start with some. Do black biracial people value black love? Why do we have this topic today? Let's see, shall we? We've been putting off talking about the whole black biracial kind of angles and stuff. Historically, but we're going to cover it today, and that's because for those who don't know, John Boyega, hopefully I'm saying that right. Shame on me if I'm not. Boyega, sorry. Yeah, he went on to a show known as the Breakfast Club, I believe, and he did what many black men fail to do. That's right. He confessed his love for black women, which is a very good important thing. So he gets 10 points for that. But obviously, we're in a day and age where it's new technology, new things, and people are not best pleased. But there was kickback. Now, I saw a show and I noticed that some algorithms will by people who identify as biracial. So that one parent is of African descent, the other is more than likely usually European, which is very interesting dynamic. We can break down why that is, especially with the history between Africa and Europe. Interesting. But yeah, so that going on, and some of them are not best pleased, some just saying what they're saying. But it brings the question: do biracial people value black love? I guess something to talk about. So we talk about it. So we're going to watch a few clips. So let me think. Which one's the best one to start with? Let me start with a European dude. Just talk about the situation, so we know what it is, and then we'll jump into the opinions of people who identify as biracial. Let's go.
He revealed to the public that John Boyega is getting a lot of controversy because he revealed to the public that he only dates black women. And John Boyega has had to deal
10 points for that.
With a lot of rough stuff in the past, like an undeniable racism he faced.
That's right. John Boyega, if you didn't know, was in Star Wars, very big franchise owned by Disney, and they also own the Black Panther franchise via way of owning Marvel. And Yeah, he was the first black character in there, and yes, all around the world. And that's what's good. Is we're going to use this to prove our point. So he'll mention it, but remember, we've got three very important quotes. What's that? Every week, it's let's bring it. Black people are collectively inadequate. Collectively, black people have no friends, and constructive black man and constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. Let's see if anything this say correlates with that kind of saying. Let's go.
When he was cast in Star Wars. He had to deal with many hate comments online due to people being angry there was going to be a black lead in a Star Wars movie.
Whoa, so collectively, black people have no friends.
And then there was the treatment he received internationally when this
Internationally, what happened there?
was the poster for Star Wars Episode 7 released in the United States.
What happened when he was in the poster?
But for China and many other countries,
China and many other countries.
his presence in the poster was reduced significantly to the point it could be easily blocked out.
Oh, so they kind of made him smaller. Might have just been coincidence. Who knows?
For Star Wars Episode 9, he had almost half of his screen time cut in international releases for countries.
What's that? You tell me his actual screen time was cut in international stories because they didn't want to see a black man. Oh no. Maybe that's not what it was. Perhaps they're wrong. Because who knows? Maybe collectively black people have no friends. A lot of us
that were known to be more racist. But now after recent comments, John Boyega is being bashed online for saying he only likes to date black women. And he said the reason he made the decision was his parents' relationship, where they're both of Nigerian descent. He says he wants a black one because he believes they'll share the same values. And while many people are bashing this statement, there is the truth that people do live like this, with 83% of people marrying someone of the same race. And John Boyega did make it clear he does support interracial dating, but said at this point in his life he only wants to date black women. Personally, I wanted this to become a thing, but that's fan fiction. With that, I'm Charles. Please subscribe.
I think he's saying he wanted him to. That's another thing. He was in the Star Wars show, and the European woman in the background of this picture, I think she played kind of like warrior woman or something like that. And obviously they were together. And normally when they write this kind of stuff, the man and the woman who, you know, they get around each other, they end up falling in love and whatever. And they didn't, which actually people were, you know, like, oh, what's going on? Was it racism? Although for black women, that was a good thing. You know, it's probably best he doesn't do that. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, yeah. So so in the Star Wars galaxy, whatever character he plays, there's probably a black woman on Mars or wherever it is you can marry. Good for you. Anyway, cool. So that's the intro of what's happening with John Boyega and the whole I love black women. So let's listen to a identified biracial person. Let's see what she has to say. Let's see.
Is getting heat on the internet because he said he's only going to date black women.
10 points.
He said, I only date black. Then it's about chemistry, personality, goals. Is there synergy? Can I help you? Can you help me?
Good man.
Of course, he got some heat for it. People were saying, what if a white person said this?
Once again, what we want to learn is whenever people try to compare black people to white people, it's a recipe for disaster. You see, because different people with different needs. You see, black people unfortunately have been rendered collectively inadequate. That's right. We don't do anything that's in our collective best interest. We don't have ownership. We don't, we're not resurrecting any kind of institutions that are dedicated to black women. And because of that, we unfortunately are subservient. That's right. There's many subservient behavior patterns that we need to fix and eradicate. That's what we need to do. So let's see what this lady says.
And he retorted back by saying his preference is not a topic of debate and that he's only saying something positive about black people.
Very important that when a black man says he loves black woman, that is what you call positive. So the first question, is black love positive? I say yes. Maybe you say no. You say no, let me know so. Thank you very much. Yo.
Nothing negative about other races.
All right.
And you know what? I'm inclined to agree. I don't think racial preferences when it comes to dating are particularly racist. However, I do think they're stupid.
Okay, so let's stop there. She says that black people loving black people is stupid. So obviously it's very hard to call a black person racist for loving a black person. However, they will try. They will try. In a few years' time, it will be a problem. Like I said, there was a time when a man would love a woman, and then what happened? The transgender community came and they had new definitions. And when you're watching mainstream TV on certain kind of like reality shows, if you kiss a woman, don't kiss the transition woman, man, individual, then they could call that offensive. So this is how it goes. And Michael says, black people, you cannot be drawn to end this palaver, because black people are collectively inadequate and we have a history of being hated consistently, and we have to dedicate time to find a betterment. And as we all know, constructive black man, constructive black woman make a constructive black family. That's right. So calling black love stupid is questionable, but let's see.
Who's to say you're not going to meet a white person who comes into your life and completely blows you away, who you want to marry?
Like I said, unfortunately with black people, as we know, this kind of Disney concept of marriage is nice, but it's not really a reality. Like I said, other superior thinking collective groups, when they understand their collective best interests and to do things that works in their culture, i.e. you marry because second generation wealth, assets, culture, preservation, media control, whatever it might be. Kind of like, it's like when you look at the royal family, they know how to marry other royals and other things. And when someone doesn't do that, i.e., I think his name was Harry, they chased him out of the kingdom, didn't they? So what I'm saying is, other people know, but obviously black people, we're behind. And this woman, she's within the black community. She identifies as biracial. Who knows? She might be raised by European. Who knows? But this is the issue we're tackling today. There has been some books saying that, when a person either marries a non-black person, has a non-black person as a parent, or what it might be, then obviously they might be educated in certain behavior patterns that doesn't work in the best interest of black people. So let's see, shall we?
Closing that door by saying I only date black is just a stupid thing to do.
No, it's a very good thing. So we need to always, anyone says that black men who love black women is stupid, you must be very offended, but obviously don't show it. I just say, no, this is what we do to fix our community, because it's not Walt Disney, and he don't like black people anyway. It's generally a very good thing, because unfortunately, as you know, there's many challenges facing black men. So some might be incarcerated, some might be poorly educated, some might be dead, and some very few might make it to a certain kind of constructive, successful rate. Maybe let's paint that picture. So that means if that's such a small group of quite well-to-do men do not marry their women, that means you're depriving a black woman a good black man, you see. So if we paint the picture that way, then that we can kind of reverse this very offensive, stupid language that this individual is saying. That's right.
Do, considering you don't know who you're going to end up with.
Well, you're a man, you pick, isn't it? Let's break it down. Let's break it down. A lot of men have friends, best friends, right? And their best friends, no doubt, they will marry a beautiful woman. But that's off limits. So you can restrict yourself. Just because you find someone alluring in some kind of way doesn't mean you have to pursue marriage. All right. So there it's been tried and tested. All right.
But I don't think it's racist. No need for all the heat on this. What do you guys think?
Well, I think I agree, but I think calling black lives stupid is questionable. But I guess one day we will debate that. But we'll see. Now, that's one lady who identifies as biracial. I think she's in the States somewhere. Wouldn't know where, because I don't really know too much. But she's not here. Anyway, but here are some two biracial identifying people who are actually based in the UK. That's right, the United Kingdom. So let's see what they have to say. A lot of mercy.
Contradictory. As Ada on Twitter said, John Boyega saying he dates only black women isn't a problem. Double standards is a problem. If a white actor said they only dated white women, many would not defend his right to have preferences. They would call him racist. The rules have to stay consistent. That's all.
So, I think there was a black woman who said that. She might work for one of the stations. Let me get her name again. I'm just going to write it down, because I didn't do that before. Share it with me. Is it? I'm saying it wrong. Is it Ade Akpala? She might be a news kind of lady. Could be wrong, because what do I know? Very little. But let me just write that so I can Google it while we listen to a fantastic piece of audio. Let's see. If I see her face, I'll know her. Hold on. No. She just might be. What does she do? Guest announcer. Nothing. I can't really see anything. Looks like she's a social media woman. Okay, so the black people doing this narrative doesn't work in our best interest. Maybe this woman. Let me see if I type in husband. Might have a white husband. That might be what it is. Let's say a sneak peek. I don't think, maybe. Probably not married. Not popular enough to be on the internet. Fair enough. Cool. Is what it is. All right. So let's carry on playing.
To stay consistent. That's all.
All right.
So does this show how deep the hypocrisy is, which lies in the heart of the elite when it comes to issues such as race? Joining me now to discuss this is activist and organizer of BLM protests, Iman Ayton, and political commentator Dominique Samuels. First of all, thank you both so much for joining me. I want to start with you, Iman. Try and keep it not too spicy. Is John Boyega a racist?
No, of course not. That's utterly ridiculous. No, he's not. So let's just start with laying it out there, okay? So this is about personal preferences, and personal preferences are influenced by many different factors, such as experiences, good, bad, and shared. Values, friends, family, and of course, cultural and societal norms. So let's just take all of that into consideration and use education as an example, okay? So if someone was educated from Eton, it's quite likely that they are, or they'll have preferences, and their attraction is likely to be towards someone that is educated. The likelihood of that individual finding someone who is, I don't know, has very little education, no job or career prospects, and is currently on universal credit, that's unlikely in terms of that level of education.
These things are social
okay, and
issues,
that's
so I
due
could-
to the aforementioned factors. So the point I'm trying to make, Calvin,
Go on
very
then, come
much,
on.
is that I think it's quite ludicrous to penalise someone because of their personal preferences. We're influenced by all of these factors that I mentioned.
All right, thank you. We'll come back to you. Dominique, is this a personal preference or is this racial discrimination?
Look, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's racial discrimination as such, because, you know, you can't attack someone for having a racial preference in terms of dating, because whether we like to admit it or not, I think we all have an overarching preference in terms of the people we'd like to date. The problem is that the world that John Boyega inhibits, which is the virtue signaling, Hollywood world, they would see that as racist if a white person had said it. So we're open.
So this kind of, obviously this show is a very conservative left-wing show, whatever. But this kind of narrative of people within the black community caring about, if white people do the same thing, will it be the same? Well, no, black people and white people are not the same, innit? We've got a different history.
Opens up a whole question about what sort of standards are allocated for certain groups. I personally think, based upon sort of their social justice points, with black people, they're allowed to openly state they only date one race. But when it comes to white people, or even, cis women or cis lesbian or a cis gay person, they're not allowed to state their actual preferences without being called a transphobe, without being called a racist, without being called a bigot. So John Boyega is allowed to have his preference, that's fine, but it does highlight a hypocrisy that runs deep at the heart of the social justice movement.
Okay, so you're both in agreement that it's not racial discrimination. Iman, if a white actor came out and said, I don't date black women, would you have an issue with that?
It's interesting because remember how narratives are changed. The brother says he dates black women. He says he doesn't. So that's something to keep in mind.
Because it seems it's the hypocrisy that people are struggling with.
You see, and that's another thing about how a person's mind is dominated. There's more people groups out there, and the brother said what he wanted, and they've interjected white people, and that's why I keep telling you that there's something going on in the mindsets of all the world, but black people in general. And it's interesting that historically Europe and Africa obviously had a terrible experience together, but yet you find that black people of African descent are more likely to be with a European than an Asian, Bangladeshi, Chinese, whatever way. And this is an interesting thing. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. People say that love is blind and blah blah, but something's going on.
I agree. So I definitely agree. It's a different conversation. So firstly, let me start with saying that I don't believe in cancel culture. I think it prohibits anyone from growing and learning from their mistakes. Secondly, I think John Boyega's level of influence pales in comparison to Eurocentrism or hundreds of years of Eurocentrism, racism and colonialism. So I actually think that his opinion is a healthy balance. And thirdly, we have to take into account Eurocentrism, which answers Dominique's point. So, in terms of Eurocentrism, this is a viewpoint whereby European culture is looked upon favourably and biased against non-Western cultures. So when we take into account historical context, as well as the fact that black people are still having to contend with racism, the connotations and implications are different when a white person says it versus a black person. For me, this is as clear as day. So I'm hoping I shouldn't have to repeat myself. Surely we both, we understand that point, right?
Oh, understanding and agreeing are two different things though, Iman. Dominic, do you think that Eurocentrism is a problem in the European continent? Surely it should be the case that we are centred around our own interests, whether that be British history.
Our family, I've posted a link in the forum, so if anyone wants to jump in, feel free to jump in. You can also have a comment on this. We've got 5 more minutes of this, I believe, roughly, take or give. And then we shall open it up. Yeah.
European history. These are clearly predominant because we live in a predominantly European part of the world.
Yeah, I would say that. I think that's largely to do with the fact that our culture is very Western centric, and that just does so happen to be largely white people. I think that's just a fact. But I think what we've seen in particularly pop culture, Hollywood culture, is that looking more racially ambiguous, looking more black, if you will, is viewed as more desirable, having bigger hips, having darker skin, having bigger lips, having curly hair. So I think
what she's talking about is Europeans trying to emulate black or so-called black features and black identity to progress. I think that's what she's saying.
say it's fair to say Eurocentrism still reigns supreme.
It does, but okay.
Today, I think our beauty standards are actually changing to appreciate more black features. However, I think what Iman has conceded there is that she thinks that double standards are okay if they reflect her moral sentiment. And as long as we can...
Oh, I said Dominic. Oh, wow. Really? It's like
you are okay with hypocrisy if it serves your moral sentiment. Then we can...
At what point did I say? At what point did I say...
Iman, we'll come back to you. Don't worry. We'll come back to you.
I explained the connotations and implications.
Iman, we will come back to you. Thank you. Dominic's turn to talk.
Let's not put words in my mouth, okay?
No, that's what you basically said. You've said double standards and hypocrisy are okay if they serve your moral sentiment or if you think they're morally justifiable. That's what you've just said. In my personal opinion, as someone who comes from a mixed race background, as Calvin's obviously mixed race, I do think the idea...
So that's what we're saying, that using your parentage as a weapon to, I guess, undermine black love. Interesting.
Of singling out one race and saying you're not going to date any others...
So this is the issue that some people might have with biracial unions, right? Where if the offspring of the unions come by and they're heavily fighting to stop constructive black men from finding constructive black women, this could be a bit of a problem. So it's something that we might need to talk about and maybe try to fix. Like, the thing is, if you're within the black community, once you start calling yourself biracial and start talking about picking white women and white men, then you're outing yourself from the community, because it should be very comfortable for black people to talk about love within their community, right? It should be the most comfortable thing you can do, because we understand the history of what's happened to black people. Also, we understand how communities thrive, and we understand what the goal is, right? So if talking about a constructive black man trying to find a constructive black woman is an issue, we need to try to minimize that.
Bear in mind, these are millions and millions of people on the earth that look very, very different. I think that is, if we want to go to the raw meaning of the word racial discrimination, yes, it is. To say that you won't date any other race of people when there are loads on this earth that look very different, that is racial discrimination. Okay. If a white person had said, I only date white, I would think, sorry, and that is a bit weird that you would discriminate against other races of people on the basis of skin colour. And if a black person said it, I have the same opinion. In the rawest terms, without the moral connotations, it is discrimination.
See, when you say the basis of skin color, you forget, you negate culture, purpose, history, comfortability, all the ease, everything you can think about, right? So I think just to shout this word skin color is very naive, but who knows?
All right, thank you, Dominic.
No, it's not.
Like to come back
no, it's not. It's not even in the slightest, Dominic. You got it completely wrong. So let me just finalise that point. I've already explained it to you. The connotations and implications are different due to the historical context, racism, colonialism, Eurocentrism. You have to take those things into account. So in terms of there being an imbalance, it's quite clear there is an imbalance because we live in the West, and so we are taught things and we experience things through the Eurocentric perspective. And so ultimately what I'm trying to say is, if one individual has a personal preference that's probably influenced by education, experiences, family, friends, culture, and societal norms. Hold on a second. Let me finish, please. So all of these factors influence someone's personal preference. Everyone is entitled to their personal preference because of all of those aforementioned factors. So John Boyega stating that he has a personal preference because of his culture, because of his experiences, because of his friends, because of his family, because of what he thinks or deems as attractive, isn't racial discrimination. It's called a personal preference. And if you find it hypocritical, please bear in mind that we have had hundreds of years of Eurocentrism, colonialism, and racism. So the imbalance is already there. So in actual fact, John Boyega is trying to balance the current state of affairs.
I think you're conflating
using,
It's what I'm aware of.
Ladies, thank you.
You're using loads of words
Ladies.
to repeat what I've just said, which is that you think discrimination is okay if in your mind it's
Not
morally justifiable.
discrimination.
The moral
Not discrimination.
justifiability
What's
of what John
discrimination? What's
Boyega is
discrimination?
doing.
Let's not talk over each other. I've got one last
He is
question for you both, if you don't mind,
redressing
please.
That's
Thank
the
you,
point.
Iman. Thank you, Dominique.
If you want to quote, you say, if a black man loving a black woman is wrong, I don't want to be right. See, that would end all that, but, I wasn't there.
Now, one last question. Let's keep it short and
What's the
sweet.
definition of racial discrimination? Tell
Ladies,
me.
the viewers have heard your stance. They'll make up their own minds.
Discrimination. You agree with me, babe?
What's the definition? What's the definition of racial discrimination, Dominique? Please tell us.
Discriminating against
So I
someone
can
based on
ask.
their race. Now, Iman, Dominique, thank you. Dominique,
I have it.
Iman, quick
Yes.
answer, please. Not a 5-minute
Yes,
answer.
no.
Would you date a white man?
So what was that about? What has that got to do with why are you putting someone on the show to ask them about dating white people? See, this is peculiar behavior, all right? Very peculiar behavior.
Yes.
To be honest with you, my preference is black men.
Of course, 10 points for that.
Okay, thank
open,
you.
But my preference
Thank you.
is
Thank you.
black men.
Dominique,
He wasn't having none of that. Well, a very interesting individual. I'm sure there's something going on in his mind.
would you date a white man?
Yes, I'd date a white man, I'd date a black man, I'd date a Chinese man, Asian man, whatever. I genuinely don't care.
Right. Once again, one thing we have to teach the family is the purpose of dating, the purpose of family, the purpose of unions, the purpose of nation building, betterment, whatever it might be, right? There's a purpose. This Disney concept of you marry someone, you live happily ever after is nice. Unfortunately, I think too many black people have thought that, and that's probably why there's very few black people actively working towards making the black community better, unfortunately. So, I think, that's something that we have to think about. Now, so the question, let me see if I can go back to the, where are we? Here we are. 41 minutes, so we've got 10 minutes of this. All right, where is it? Hold on. I tried to find that woman, Adi Acapella. I think, let's check her out on Twitter. Because there was a black woman who said something. She's asking, and you always question that when black people say like, "Oh, if a white person did this," I don't know why you would even go there. You could say if a black person invaded Europe, they would wipe Africa out, but whatever, all this kind of stuff. Why people? No, okay. I'm just seeing this lady's page. See if there's anything. Not really much on her page to go on. All right. We'll come back. We'll come back to that. All right. Nothing really of any value. All right. Where are we? Yeah. So 40 values. Speaking of values. So welcome to the 107th show, family. I have posted a link in the form. If you wish to jump in, you most certainly can. We have a nice, quick, very to the point video, and today's we looked at Queen Focus Part 5, Princess Yennenga. Yeah, little story there in the intro. We promoted a brother's page called Home Team History. The link is there. Go support that brother who makes these videos about African history. Very nice. Then we asked the question: Do black biracial people value black love? We were looking at three biracial individuals who are commenting on the statements by Brother John Boyega, who confesses his preference and love is for black women, especially dark-skinned black women, and that's what he's looking to I guess start a family with. And there was a bit of a hoo-ha, and we asked questions. Do some biracial people use their parenting as a weapon or a method to stop the conversation? I think black people talking about black love and constructive black families and stuff is a very important one. I think when you look at the data, unfortunately, you find that black men all across the board seem to date out at a higher rate. And unfortunately, the success rate of black men in many different areas is not where it should be. And also, unfortunately, there's many in certain places, black men who are incarcerated or could be doing better in certain kind of financial situations, whether it's self-induced or policy-induced or whatever. And that means obviously black women. If we look at date apps and stuff, they say that unfortunately, Obviously, we view black women as the world's most beautiful, but obviously the apps say different, and many of the men in the apps would choose black women last, if at all. So if you have a small pool of black men not choosing black women and more likely to choose descendants of the colonizers, whatever, and then no one else is obviously picking black women, then obviously you have an imbalance, don't you? Right. So that's something that we have to recognize. And I think there's a value in having strategies and philosophies and quotes that highlight the need for constructive black man to find constructive black woman. You see, so all this other stuff they're saying doesn't work. So we have to actually praise John Boyega for saying that, and hopefully we can create the campaigns that make more black people say that. Once again, if black people or black men, let's be more specific, are not saying that, you're probably wondering why are black men not saying it? Why is it an issue? Well, it's because black people are collectively inadequate, you see. And understanding how black families are produced, how black people are produced is a challenge. A lot of people think liberation could come through the arms of another people group. There are some who say who say that when a black man goes, because obviously in that last show and the old shows they always put white people. They don't talk about Asians. They tend to put white people. But a lot of people say that actually, what the black men who are desperately into, let's say European women, whatever, it's more so the men they're trying to appease. It's like they're trying to get into the men's good book or the European men who's built something. They're trying to get into that kind of scene, whatever, that kind of approval. That's some people say that. Who knows? But yeah, interesting story, family. Very interesting there. They're a very quick show. Now, family, in 4 minutes, I will shut this show down. We've done the two topics. We've looked at the stuff. We've had our opinions. If anyone would like to jump in, no pressure. You're welcome to. The topics are, let's find it. If there's anything you want to talk about, is obviously Princess Yennenga. All right, very good. Do black biracial people value black love? So, I'll answer your question. If you're a biracial black person out there, in the community, how do you feel? Do you feel that people of your background they value finding another black person, so-called black biracial person? Is black love positive? You let me know. Is black love positive? We'll be interested to hear your thoughts. If you don't hear your thoughts, we have to go with my thoughts, and we know my thoughts. Black Batman all the way. But if you're out there in the interweb, what are your views? Do you know any black biracial people? How do they feel about the concept of black families and black love? Obviously, by definition, you cannot come from a black family if your father or mother does not pick a black parent. You come from a mixed family, and obviously, that really has very little to do with black Burman. But you yourself are welcome to practice black Burman if you identify as biracial. Obviously, finding constructive things with other black people would be the start. And eventually, if you do get married, or choose to get married, have a family, then you'll find another black person to do that and try to build institutions and do things that are within black people's collective best interests. But is having a biracial family, would that jeopardize that? Do you feel like you're tied between two people groups? You let me know. I wouldn't know anything about that, but you might. Do you feel that maybe you grow up and maybe let's create a scenario? It might not be true, but let's say it anyway. Maybe you were raised by your mother, very wonderful mother, very kind and constructive. Unfortunately, let's say that your dad was the black man. Let's not be stereotypical, but we want to tell a story here. And let's say that your black man actually left for some reason. Who knows? And so he didn't actually get a chance to push in you the necessity of black betterment. Some would argue he wouldn't have it, or he would have chose a black woman. But let's say that somewhere along the line he developed this concept. So obviously now you're raised by your mom, and you don't really know much about your black side, and what do you do? What do you do? Who knows? So is there any value in trying to practice black betterment? Probably not. Who do biracial people choose to marry? Do they? I suspect the brother on the show there. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me. Has a white wife. I suspect very much so. Could be wrong though. I'm not too sure about the woman on the right. She says she'll marry. She'll be with a black, white, Chinese, or whatever. So it's kind of like a lottery affair. But what that's showing is the concept of black love wouldn't have been put within them as a young child or at all. Maybe they rejected the concept, but then it might be very challenging to teach people with a non-black parent the value of having a black partner. You see, especially if your black father or mother was absent in your life, or they didn't contribute to any kind of empowerment at all. Which is why important for black people who have a constructed black family. Tell your children the importance of marriage, the importance of unions, the importance of constructive families, network of other constructive families coming together to do constructive work. You see, it's like a chain, isn't it? Like you're trying to start something, and then you might get too old, and you pass it down to your kids. Your kids take over what you do, and then they pass it down, and then certain institutional ideas are created and they're passed down and they're maintained and kept by people who care about the community. As we see, there's not many, but there's a few black institutions, ideas that came out, and unfortunately they were then given to the hands of non-black people, and they wouldn't really have the same kind of care as black people, because you would like to think that black people would care about black things just that little bit more better. And it draws the attention of the Afrocentrics and the Cometians and that, who talk about ancient Egypt, and an argument that ancient Egypt many years ago was predominantly a black culture, just kind of like how it is when you go further down the Nile and you see the Nubians before Egypt hits Sudan, and obviously they say they were pushed down or further away or up, depending on which way the map is, and and they say that. When you look at the Arabs who are there, they kind of they easily go for the tomb, they remove stuff, not really invested in the culture. And you see that more black people today seem to be practicing Kemet ideas and Kemet philosophies and maintaining old Kemetan ways rather than the Arabs there. So they're saying, well, that might be a sign that maybe they're not really connected to that land at all. Who knows? Interesting conversation. We should have that one day, if not at all. But yeah, now family, we have 9 minutes left of the show, but I might cut out because I might. But we sent a link out there, and today we are talking about, do black biracial people value black love? And also, is black love positive? When we were listening to the video, there's a lot of kind of shade. We should go back to it. Let's click on the thing. Let's say it one more time of what this individual said about black love.
Star John Boyega is getting heat on the internet because he said he's only going to date black women.
And that was a good thing?
He said, I only date black. Then it's about chemistry, personality, goals. Is there synergy? Can I help you? Can you help me?
Don't forget that, family. Very good starting points there.
Of course, you got some heat for it. People.
No heat should come from that. Absolutely no heat. If anything, what's the opposite of heat? Not ice. Something that's pleasurable. That's not heat. That should be going towards it.
We're saying, what if a white person said this?
Once again, black people, do not ever compare your struggles to white people. Black people did not go to Europe, colonize, capture, kidnap, rape, and start an empire, and completely flip people inside out, change their religion, ways, and speech and patterns and all that good stuff, but bad stuff, I should say. And and right now, black people who are colonized, neo-colonized, or whatever it might be, are trying to find a way to make it work. And if you look at the data, it's not working. There's very few black institutions dedicated to black betterment, so clearly something needs to be done. And we understand that you can't maintain things if you're not marrying within your community, because whoever you marry will then have ownership of what you inherit. And who's to say they're going to do anything for you? I think I got rid of it. Maybe I should try to find it. Do a really good case study. Do I still have that? Let me see if let me see if I can find. I mean, it'll probably take forever to find it. Where is it? Black Betterment shows. All right. Well, let's go to the olden days. I wonder if, because I had it on every week. Let's see. Is it in here? Let's see if I can find. Let's say, is this one? Oh, the football one's in there. That's cool. That's very cool. All right, some really cool stuff in there. Oh, he's at Michael Jackson. Yes, look at that. I was in there. X. Is this the one? No, it's not this one. I've been doing this for a long time. Wow. That's an interesting fact there. This the black and white stuff. That was a good little case study. So maybe it's a bit more further down. Let's go to 65. Hold on. Let's see if I've put in this one. So much stuff to squeeze past. So much stuff. All right. So, all right. Excellent. Look at this. This is. Oh yes. Did I get rid of it? No. Oh, maybe I didn't do Michael Jackson. Maybe I just did. I just did Bruce Lee. And what I was talking about was, when people from different cultures they marry into European cultures, and then their kids marry into European cultures. You see this Bruce Lee, like Bruce Lee's. I don't know if he identified as strong Hong Kong or strong Chinese, whatever it might be, but he's probably the most successful karate guy, martial artist. Yeah, probably I would say ever. Yeah, take a give. And obviously, obviously from China, very proud Chinese. He had very lot of Chinese quotes and this kind of stuff. But yeah, he married a European woman, as they do, in Europe or America. And obviously, his kids practiced what he practiced, and they married Europeans. And now his financial estate will be controlled by Europeans. So, and that's something that we saw happen to brother Bob Marley. I think four people control the estate. His mum's the older one as well. But he married obviously his beautiful wife. But then his kids now, some of them are marrying Jewish people and models from somewhere, I can't remember what. But what I'm saying is this is something to watch. When you inherit stuff and you start marrying to other people groups, they're going to have their own kind of things they want to do. And yeah, and Michael Jackson, I don't have the documentation on Michael Jackson, fair enough. But for those who don't know, Michael Jackson was a very successful musician, probably one of the most successful pop stars. And yes, he was black and proud. He said it. He did say it. But what he did do is he got married twice to European women. One was the daughters of Elvis, and then he adopted 3 European children. Now, unfortunately, he died, and he has a tremendous amount of wealth and assets and resources, including a publishing from Sony, which they were not best pleased he had. What's happened now? His kids are now inheriting all that kind of stuff. You see, his mum has also inherited, but once again, she's more elderly than him. So he's 3 European children who don't think practice black Burma in any form are going to inherit everything Michael Jackson did. And this is an interesting thing. It's something that we don't talk about. Like, how do black people maintain assets? How do you maintain wealth? And I don't think marrying into other groups or adopting other groups' children will do that. But very good case study. We should bring this stuff back. Very good. But once again, we have to understand that black people, unfortunately, at current time, are collectively inadequate. And if I was to mention assets and ways to build community and ways to sustain things, I would be seen as a funny guy. And what's wrong with you? Don't talk about that. Let's talk about Walt Disney and princesses and all this kind of stuff. Because why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because black people, unfortunately, today are collectively inadequate. That's right. We don't understand the basics of how other communities thrive and go by. We don't understand that, unfortunately, collectively, black people have no friends, and we're used as the tools needed for what do you call it? For others to prevent. Funny enough, before I go, let me, because we asked earlier, maybe I'll play. Let me see if I can remember this. I'm gonna actually start putting some of these old videos. Very good video. I'm not gonna play all of it. Maybe 5 minutes or so, because I want to go to bed. But I found some videos of old greetings, Sister She Reigns. I found some videos of old footages of kids from Africa and all from Africa. I assume on a UK show, maybe an American show, can't remember. But this is the 50s, and they're talking about racism and discrimination, this kind of stuff. And I downloaded one video, but I'll see if I can get the rest. Hold on, where is it? Let's see, shall we? There we go. So this is interesting stuff.
Discussion on the roots of prejudice. All 4 participants in today's discussion are high school students from Africa. Let me introduce them to you now. First, from the Gold Coast is 18-year-old Alfred Bannerman. We call him Nini. It all started, Nini tells us, when he was born. He looked like a little old man. And Nini is a term of respect for an old man. We still call him Nini, and he considers it a term of respect.
Interesting way to start there. You start talk about a black man, talk about nicknames and stuff. He comes in with a name, you give him a nickname. That's something I remember viewing a lot, the nicknames that Europeans give you. But we'll tackle that another time.
From Nigeria, Mohamedou.
Even though it was a name he gave himself, it's interesting that they went with nicknames. Okay.
Liman, 18 years old.
Now, this would have been the first time many people have seen Africans from the continent on TV, I assume, in this kind of capacity. I don't think this was a regular thing that shows did in the 50s. But then again, could be wrong.
From the Union of South Africa, Dix Lobjer.
This is a South African individual. As you can tell, he's not of African descent. He's of Boer descent. Let's see what he says.
Dix, well, you should see him do the rock and roll. From Ethiopia, 17-year-old Nabiet Tafari. It was Nabiat's suggestion that we start this discussion with a prayer in case there should be violence later. What you heard was Nabiat from Ethiopia giving a prayer in the Ge'ez language. He's a Copt by religion, Amhara by race, Hebrew in origin, and an African since he's been to America. How should we start this discussion on prejudice? Would it be unfair to ask each of you what your own prejudices are? How about you, Nabi?
Actually, I'm prejudiced against the Italians, and I have been prejudiced against the Mohammedans. Since I arrived here, I have developed some new prejudices, and I never felt that I was a Negro till I came to this country.
Why?
Because my tutor in the monastery told me that I was not a Negro, but I was a sunburned Hebrew.
You mentioned that you have prejudices against Mohammedans. I am a Mohammedan, and I have prejudices against Christians too in southern Nigeria.
I don't. It's just me, but I'm not saying it's scripted, but it sounds very peculiar of how people talk. Maybe it's the 50s, maybe it's the way the show's gone, but very peculiar way of speaking to each other. But perhaps I don't know. Keeping in mind this is obviously they probably have one or two languages, but I still think it's very peculiar of way of communicating. But what do I know? I wasn't there then.
You said you have prejudices against Christians in southern Nigeria. Is that particularly because they are Christians? I'm a Christian myself, but I have no prejudice against Mohammedans. I rather prejudice against whites.
But why have you got prejudice against the whites?
Why do you have prejudice against whites? Interesting question there, white man from South Africa.
The Gold Coast.
I think it's a sort of this kind. At first, I was not prejudiced against whites anyway. I was prejudiced against fellow Africans because I had some opportunities which some of the Africans didn't get. I was brought up in a city. I lived the Western way, I dressed the Western style, and I did everything Western. And so I was looking down upon fellow Africans who live in the villages, in the rural areas. As I developed, I started getting some political ideas. Especially, I'm very much interested in the problem in South Africa. We hear quite often about how the blacks are treated there, how everything goes on there. And for instance, everybody knows that we get good friendship and peace in the world through games like the Olympic Games and those kinds of games. But everybody knows that the team from the Union of South Africa has not got a single African, which means the people in South Africa think of...
Interesting is noticing that in South Africa, they never allowed any of the black people to play in the sports, even though black people are tremendously good at sports, as it may seem.
...of themselves as superior beings. And this thing gives me more ideas, just to be prejudiced and discriminate against the whites. And so I'd like you to explain to me some of the policies of the apartheid system and the basic idea to the logical conclusion.
Let's see what the European says, the board, sorry.
Well, in South Africa, one must realize this fact, overseas people especially, and that is that this is the first case in history that a white nation has settled itself in a black country. In the whole of Africa, there are 190 million Africans, 190 million Negroes.
Yes, yes.
And in Southern Africa, there are almost 3 million white people. That means less than 3%. Now, in South Africa itself, the blacks outnumber the whites there by 4-1. In the States here, they outnumber the white people outnumber the Negroes 8-1. For that reason, and for the reason, and for this fact, that one cannot ever draw a parallel line between the Negroes in South Africa and the Negroes in the States.
So I've seen this technique. Sorry, recently they tried to make a distinction between black people and black people there. I think we did case studies on people groups interacting in a land. Good countries is obviously America with a low percentage of black people versus a high percentage of white people, and then there's South Africa with a high percentage of black people and a low percent of white people. You see the dynamics the same, and then you could also do the dynamics in Brazil. But Brazil is very they've got the biggest marginalization between rich and poor, and also they have a history of trying to I get the word is breed out black people, like have philosophies that make black people not want to exist and look for other people to have partners to change the dynamics of how black people look, whatever. But yeah, so there's good case studies to do on those political places. But let's see what the boss says, the South African individual.
The Negroes in the States are far above the Negroes in South Africa as far as education and civilization goes. Now, the
very interesting comment there.
The government's policy,
not true, I suspect,
of apartheid. That policy, the guiding principle of this policy is to help the non-whites in South Africa to self-realization in their own territories and within their own communities, so that they can govern themselves. Gradually they'll be giving more and more power to govern themselves. Now that's what the guiding principle is, and that's what the white man in South Africa is doing.
This brother from the Gold Coast, which is gone, I believe, in the past, does a good representation. I think he might win an Oscar or a medal for the way he conducted himself in the show. Very good. I'm not going to play so show. I might cut any second now. Unless you go, please throw more. Maybe one time we'll show like a lot of these kind of stuff and we can case study it, whatever. I'm going to end the show in a few seconds, but we'll just play one more minute of it and then we'll go. Unless you say no, which you won't say, so I'll cut off.
This point clear. You say they want the Africans to develop themselves. And so will you allow the Africans to get their own governments and their own representations? Or will you like to give them the rules and the laws by yourselves?
No,
we force them and do everything.
We're not going to force them to do anything.
No, the point is, I know that in South Africa you have a government, and there is not a single African in the government. There are 9 million Africans as against 2 million whites. Why is it that there is not a single African in the government of South Africa?
Well, there are 9 representatives for the...
But I mean, how can 9 Englishmen or 9 Europeans represent 9 million Africans? How can they know their problems and their ideas? These people are Africans. You believe in separateness. The Africans separate and the whites separate. Well, how then can it happen that you get whites representing Africans and ideas since they are separate?
I don't think that is fair either. Since the people in the House of Representatives, do you call it that?
That's right.
They are supported by the taxes paid by the natives, aren't they?
No, just a minute. There, you've gone altogether wrong. If South Africa was to subsist on the taxes that the Bantu in South Africa pay, then South Africa would drop just like that.
Then, okay. On what do they support? What supports them?
What?
The House of Representatives, or the people in the government, the officials.
That's the 2.5 million white people that are supporting themselves and the overwhelming black population. 12 million black people. It's those 2.5 million to 3 million white people that are supporting the lot.
Could you just explain how they are able to support themselves and how they are able to support?
You mean the white people?
Yeah, and how they are able to conduct this development without the assistance of the natives?
Because they've got the Western idea of working, and they've developed that country.
Oh, I see. They've developed that country through the Africans working. I know that the whites in South Africa went down there because of wealth. It was through the gold rush and all those things that happened that, I mean, we got white men in South Africa. And so they went down there purposely to use the Africans as tools for their own benefit. Isn't that?
When the white men went down there, they never even knew a black man existed down there. When the white man landed at the bottom of the Cape in 1652, the black people in South Africa hadn't even moved over the northern boundary of the Union of South Africa.
Yes. I know people would like to get these sociological ideas just to get around the question. So far as I know, the people in South Africa are a nomadic tribe by career or by profession. They are headsmen who move with their cattle all around the belt. Nowadays, even in the olden days. Okay. It might happen that they were living down south, but because of their profession, they happened to live up north. Because in those days, there were warring tribes which were waging wars against each other. And so you cannot say that the land is yours. Everybody knows that Africa is for Africans. And when we think of Africans, we think of blacks. That's how I know. Well,
look, just to give
you
a short
policy, and you are using the policy of aggressors that the land, the earth belongs to everybody, and the one that is powerful rules the part of the world which is owned by the others. That's the policy that aggressors use.
You know who are the aggressors? It's the African National Congress in Africa. They are the aggressors.
No, how can there be?
If the Africans in Africa would stop being so militant and would rather get down and help and build up South Africa and build up Africa, the problem with...
So, very interesting narrative by South African. Not true to one. We see similar stuff now. But family, we've gone over an hour. So, over an hour. So, we're going to end the show. Like I said, the link's there. If you wish to jump in, feel free to jump in. But if not, we will go next week. Where is it? We can watch that thing. That might be half an hour. Something very good watch. Maybe we'll watch in the future. People want to. There's a whole lot of videos I've got of kids from the 50s, black kids, talking about a whole lot of good stuff. And to see how people behave, and you see how much things haven't really changed. Where is this magazine thing, man? Hold on, is this one? All right. So just to recap before we escape and go. Queen Focus Part 5, Princess Yennenga. Then we do black biracial people value black love. I know we don't have any people to give us feedback on that, but we might cover that next week if we have people who want to jump and have their testimony. Why not? And then is black love positive? Yes, it is. All right. So family, until then, we're gonna go. Hopefully, people will be viewing this a few times. To get the real meat of the show, guys, you want to come on live, but if not, it'll be a 1 hour monologue by me. So I don't mind, but then again, it's what it is. But until next week, have a good one. Oh yeah,